was bringing him over his lunch and his piece, and I brought over the lunch and piece for your grandfather, James Kelly, and them men all had to get fed on the job, like.
That's right, there's no coming up for a break.
Oh, well, there was, you could come up at that time. But there came a time then you couldn't come up. Well, it wasn't just sensible to come up because we were working away down on the island here.
How far would them branches off have went to?
Well, them branches, there was two men, we called them dukes. The same as that there. There's the good setup here. Do you see this place here with this street flat along here, and them that level down there, and them rows are set? A very, very good idea of what the whole thing was based on. You went down through this face. That there was all a face of coal, and was all lying the same way as that there. And you went into it, and you took whatever you could take out while the roof was safe, and then you moved out, and it fell. Usually fell behind you, and you went in another place. And
it fell behind you?
Oh, aye. Well, it not just... It would have fell behind you. You could have left the coal face in the evening and come back in the morning and the whole thing was closed till the coal face.
Right.
But you know, so like there wasn't a big lot to come and go in there. I made an old boy Fisher. He was an old English miner. He was a deputy. He was I don't know what you call him. He was a manager. Mines manager. So he was in control of the whole show, you see, and all that sort of stuff. And we had a brave bit of ground took out, like bigger than this here, or took out and an odd postings here and there where you thought it needed support on. And I said to him, I think this place, would need a wee bit of attention here, I need a heading driven through it and, and support it, and then the rest of it could fall whatever way it liked, and we could have continued on. He said, look, that'd be top. He says, I could sleep in here, he said. Well, I says, I'm sure you could, and says, man's a time I have slept in it too. But there comes a time where you just be as well not sleeping in it. So we left that evening, and we came back the next morning, and I were walking along with Geordie Hanna, the rest of the fella. And we came back in the next evening. We were on back shift. But Jesus, the place was closed off. Straight to the coal face. I don't know. I wouldn't, not going to build a big Sir in the place, like, you know what I mean?
But you were right.
We knew we were there walking, you know the sound of her.
Yeah.
You know the sound of your voice, and you hear the timbers all cracking when they were getting the weight. And you knew that was the great thing about timber. You could know when the weight was coming on, and then you could put in a set of timber and you could throw that weight onto your coal face, and you'd hear the coal face spitting and cracking with the weight on it, like, it was easy work that, for you could get the pick outlet at all. There would have been a hutch of stuff would have fell out with a pick, like with a weight.
We're pushing it out.
Through over onto the top of it, like, And it's an old jammery thing, like, and we didn't know, there was nobody to tell us anything. We took to this, and those old boys knew old yarns and old stuff like that there, and between that and what we built up from our own intelligence and our own experience, we got through it all right. There was nobody killed in it.
But it's amazing, like, you're underneath the ground there, you're walking, and this whole notion, this whole concept that the weight and all's gone down and everything, there's a possible catastrophe there, of course, like.
Oh, why?
But you seen where that all fell on there? Did you have to dig that all out again then to get to the face again?
You see, you let that be. You let that be. And you walked into the other side of it, and you started to go up it with what we would call a set of timber, and support that outside then, that was on the coal, just going ahead as per usual again.
Right.
I think that's very hard to understand, or am I talking through my jaw?
Oh, no. I understand it, but to me, the whole concept of the like, literally the earth is above you.
Oh, why?
And this thing is coming down, and you can hear the sounds. I know it's like everywhere, you get to know the sounds of everywhere.
That's
you
right.
get to know the sounds of your own house. You'd notice something different all of a sudden.
And if you're sitting at night there, if you're night shift there at night, it gets very, very eerie at night. Everything everything on the earth, on the
But how
earth.
would you have been aware that it was night, apart from the fact that you knew that it was night?
So we would have been doing by shift, and we had a time where we worked from 8 to 4, and from 4 to 12, and from 12 to 8 in the morning. You didn't very often go where you passed your time, like. You could always.
Well, how long would it take you from you reach the main head at 8 o'clock in the morning and down you go? How long would it take you to get from there to the coal face?
Well, you wouldn't take you long going down the shaft, like. You'd been dropped down it right and sharp yourself, and you had to start and go, and you'd have been, well, you'd have been 20 minutes or half an hour walking, you know. And that would have been, you'd have been down this, we called it a Duke, that there was the main road. The whole stuff was drew up this here till a winch, and there was a plate or a landing at the top of it, at the top of this here, and you turned your hutch round, and it went down kind of a wee slope down to the cage. We called it the cage, the old thing that took it away from us.
So was the work 24/7?
At times it was, aye.
So you therefore you were coming on after a shift, and there's a shift coming on after you.
That's right.
So therefore it was incumbent on everybody to be safe for the next shift coming on. Like everybody, like, was there a danger that if the previous boys were a wee bit dodgy, that you could have been left in danger?
The one thing that you learned, that you learned was the first thing you take care of is your head. And then when you take care of your own head, there's a good chance you're taking care of another man's beside you. So we become a kind of family orientated and one was depending on the other. But you know, if there was somewhere needed support or needed something done with it, I would be expected to do it, and I would. So, you know, and so on and so forth. And the system, the thing was kept safe. And then the further in you went, the more weight fell on behind. On this thing, the weight that you see, the weight in front of us was being supported by the coal. The coal was supporting the weight for us in front. You know, so whenever we went to, when we went on past that, I'm getting mixed up here. We started off on, as we went on there, as we drove on the face, that's the coal face there, we were walking on that there and putting that through, and this here had become an open dungeon. There was nothing in there, it's only timber that we had put in, and that timber would crack like that when we get the right shot of weight, like. You know, when the weight would really hit that there, you'd hear it cracking all over the place. You know, and you got to know that then. And then you put up by that with a bracket off, same as that there, across, and it would break off of that. It would break off of that there, you know. If there was someone to bracket it off, the weight behind would bracket. This was a leg, we called it. This is all old jargon talk, like, you know. This was a leg or a prop, one there, and one there, and we had a 6 foot thing in between them. One was on top of the other, and that supported. And that there, you'd have put an old leg maybe in the middle of it, and that would have give extra support for till whenever this really came, it would have broke off level with that there. You know, and if it wouldn't have been there, then would have went to the face, would have went to the cold face. I like it's hard for a boy like me to put them into.
No, you're doing a great job. I tell you one thing, it's fascinating. It's very, very interesting to listen to that.
Aye, well.
But here, Jimmy, at that time, whenever you were going over the place would have been busy. How many people would have been working in the mill? How many would have been employed? I mean, down below, not up above.
Aye. Well, it could have been whenever the coal was first opened up there. You know, there could have been 30, 40 men there.
Really?
Aye.
And how many would have been on a shift, roughly?
Well, that there would have been divided up.
There would have been a couple of teams.
Aye. A couple of squads, you know.
On each shift? But then again, you'd have needed men up above to operate things up above.
Oh, aye, that there.
So then whenever the coal and all was going up, was that still being loaded onto lorries and stuff, even at night and all? Or was it stockpiled?
That was put on, there was tipped over a screen, over an oil screen that lifted any bits of old rock and stuff. There was a lad there, Frank Mackay and John L. Cora worked on it there, picking stones and stuff out of the coal, and it went over this riddle. It wasn't a riddle
I
because
know
it
what
was
you mean. It was
permanent.
screeding